Good morning. Hope that your Wednesday is off to a good start. Mine is so far. Man, I love this weather. And for as much as we could use a good spring thunderstorm or a good rain for the soil, the drought, I like this weather. Over the next several weeks, I think I'm going to reflect for a couple minutes on Wednesday mornings about the lectionary gospel readings for the upcoming Sunday. These will all come from the Gospel of John. And if you're familiar with the lectionary, or I guess rather if you're not familiar with the way the lectionary works, it's a 3-year cycle, A, B, and C, and each one of those years is devoted primarily to one of the Gospels. So year A is Matthew, year B, most of the readings are from Mark, year C, most are from Luke. And readings from John, the fourth Gospel, are sort of interspersed in there. And so this year, it is year A in the lectionary, but in the weeks after Easter, most of the readings, most of the Gospel readings will come from John. And John is, I had a seminary professor who put it this way. He said that John is like a pool that's shallow enough for a toddler to wade in, and also deep enough for an elephant to swim in. Think about that. I'm going to read the text for us. It's John 10, 1 through 10. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but they will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. This figure of speech Jesus used with them, but they did not understand what he's saying to them. So Jesus again said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. You may have noticed in that reading, and Jesus says twice, I am the door. I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. And then the next verse, I am the door. One of the famous I am statements, 7 I am statements that you find in the Gospel of John. When you read this text, Jesus says, I am the door. Verse 11, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. Jesus says, I am the door. Then in verse 11, the very next verse after what I read, I am the good shepherd. Holy mixed metaphors, Batman. Normally, our English teachers will scold us for mixing metaphors. I guess that when you are the Son of God, you have permission to break the rules of good English grammar. And so Jesus says that he's the door. And we have images here which can be used, which can be either positive or negative. Think about a door. Doors allow entry into a room or a space, right? Like a doorway in, go through the door into the bathroom, go through the door into your bedroom. you go into the office or wherever you work, you open the door and go in. But doors also serve another purpose. A door that goes into your office or into your bedroom is totally different meaning than a prison door, the door to a jail cell. Walls, similarly. Walls are ambiguous. Walls provide safety. Walls provide safety, and they provide security. In the ancient world, cities were sort of measured by their walls, how high their walls were, how thick their walls were. But walls can also be used to entrap people, to keep them hemmed in. Now think about an agrarian society and livestock. Think about an agrarian society and livestock. In that setting, walls and doors, gates are necessities. And sheep are virtually defenseless. They have very poor eyesight. They have no natural weapons for defense. And I've never had any personal experience with sheep, but they also, from what I've heard, well, they're not very bright, put it that way. And so they require some sort of protection, be it a sheepfold, a pen, where they are kept safe from predators, where a thief can't steal them or kill them. And so we have this image of a pen, of a sheepfold, with walls and a gate. And Jesus says, I am the door. I am the gate. Without walls, without some means of protection, predators can scatter the sheep or kill them. Thieves can run off with them. Now the passage implies that there are indeed thieves who will steal the sheep. The passage implies that. It tells us that. If you look back in the Old Testament, Ezekiel 34, Ezekiel talks about there being false shepherds who will try to steal the sheep, who will feed off the sheep, who will lead the sheep astray. And then God says, I myself will be the good shepherd. I will shepherd my people. And so when Jesus says, I'm the good shepherd, in the next verse, he's making us think back to Ezekiel 34. So there are shepherds who will protect the sheep and look after the sheep, lead them in and out of the sheepfold. And then there are, for lack of a better term, false shepherds, those who will lead the sheep astray or try to steal sheep. And when I think of the world today, without naming names, of course, I can think of false shepherds. I can think of them who are out in the world today. So Jesus says, I'm the door. I'm the gate, depending upon your translation, that lets the sheep in and out of the sheepfold. And he says, my sheep hear my voice and know me, and I know my sheep. And the shepherd guards the sheep and protects the sheep and knows the sheep. He knows the sheep. The good shepherd knows us, each of us, better than we know ourselves. He knows the sheep and he hears the voice. The sheep know the voice of the good shepherd, and can't help, at least in my mind, I think about When you have a small child hearing a familiar voice, hearing a parent's voice walk in the door, or a grandparent's voice, and just giggling with excitement. I love that image for this, for the sheep as they hear the voice of the Good Shepherd. Now, I mentioned that it may seem that that Jesus is mixing metaphors. That he says he's the door or the gate, depending upon your translation, and he also says in the next verse, "I'm the Good Shepherd." Which is it? Actually, it is both. It is both. If you look at images, pictures of of sheepfolds, of sheep pens in the ancient world, in the New Testament era, you'll see an opening. You'll see like an enclosure. It may be circular or rectangular, just an enclosure, low stone wall, and with one opening into that enclosure of course being the sheepfold, the pen, with one opening. And that opening, when you look at the pictures, is just that, it's an opening. There's not actually a physical wooden gate. You won't even see like hinges or pintles where a gate might have been if it had rotted away. It's just an opening. See, that opening, that doorway, is the doorway into the sheepfold. And it was customary in the ancient world for shepherds to lay across the opening. So the shepherd is literally the gate. The shepherd in the ancient world literally was the gate, and at night the shepherd just laid down across that opening. The shepherd just laid down across that opening at night. Any predator, any thief, literally had to go through the shepherd to get to the sheep. Or as we might put it, if you want to get to my sheep, you got to go through me. Or you can get into the sheep over my dead body. So Jesus is the gate. He is the door. The doorway into the sheepfold is Jesus. We go through him to find eternal life and abundant life. And once we're in the sheepfold, he is our shepherd, and he provides for us, and he protects us. He's the good shepherd. Jesus is the gate. He is the good shepherd. He is also the lamb slain from the foundation of the world. That is some really good news on a Wednesday morning. Have a great rest of your day.